What a crowd, what a crowd. Good morning, Baconeers. It is another beautiful Thursday morning, 9 a.m. here in the Sunshine State, and wherever else you might be in the world. Let us know in the comments that you're here. We do have a few folks already hanging out with us. We've got Nita, who is hanging out with us
Hi,
this
Nita.
morning. Good morning, boys. Yep, and we've got Genuine Comics over here. Dave Brink saying good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Hi,
And,
Dave.
Dave.
Yep. Johnny Cage is with us. Oh,
Yes.
Johnny Cage.
Mike is here. Mike is here. Yes,
I'm,
he is.
I'm
We
not
got
sorry,
all
Johnny.
the
I am not sorry.
He goes, sup, y'all. We have a special guest with us today, Mr. Glenn B Fleming. Very excited about him being here today. So in honor of that, you know,
Well, I really like shortbread.
Nick Cage decided to stop by and dress like a tin of shortbread because he really likes shortbread.
Hamala.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, so yeah, we're having a good time already this
I'm
morning.
Alana.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Glenn's book and DVD set about Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby, a
nice.
god among men. I mean, part of the reason why we still have superhero comic books today, Jack Kirby is. He is a legend. He's a legend among legends, and you know, as Keanu says.
Comics are awesome.
Yeah, they really are.
And it's such great insight into the man because we rarely get to, like, you have our legends, you have your heroes, but you don't get to know them as individuals.
Yeah, that's
Which-
right.
I was lucky enough to go meet him twice at his house, and that's
Oh,
what
that's
this is.
so
all,
awesome.
that's what this is all about.
I can't wait to get my copy of it, to be honest with you. So Facebook user Gary from Indianapolis, great that you're with us today. Make sure you give StreamYard permission so that they can connect you in with that stuff. My sister is in the chat again this morning. Good morning, great seeing you too, sis. And then I think this is Gary again. It is being streamed on YouTube. You head over, it's on the Raging 2 Network or the Luke Stone Studios YouTube. So go ahead, pop in over there. Oh, it's my friend Gary. Gary Dale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Gary's here. Switch to YouTube. Gary, it's great to have you here today. Gary and I, we go way back, like a long time ago. In fact, some of the characters that I have in my Hybrids book, we used to go over to his house, and his dad used to run a GURPS game. And I don't know if you ever heard of GURPS. Our resident gamer over there, Nick, probably is familiar with
yeah.
GURPS.
Yes, I played. I played.
Generic universal role playing game.
Yep.
And man, it's so much fun, man. And we used to do a supers thing, and I would build some of these characters, and some of those characters actually wound up making it into the comic book. So that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool anyway.
Well, yeah, I wish
Hell
more
yeah.
writers role played because it's a great way
Yes.
to organically develop characters and scenes, and it just it's a limitless well, and people get funny about drawing
Yeah.
from it. I'm like, it's right there.
And it's right. It's so much fun to do that.
Isn't that what Stan Lee used to do allegedly?
Yeah.
Jump up on his desk and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, pretend.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
If you don't have an imagination, you shouldn't be making comic books.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're just plain simple. Yeah, let's be honest about that.
Brianna
Brianna
was too busy. Stan was too busy taking naked pictures on his couch.
Oh yeah. Well,
I treat Stan Lee with the caveat that I have for certain historical / folklore events. If it isn't true, it should be, because it makes my world better. You know what I mean? It may be wildly inaccurate, but if there's no way to verify, might as well enjoy the farce. Oh,
yeah.
That's scary. That's 1984.
That
where
is
we are
true.
today.
Well, I don't use it for anything of substance. You know, I want absolute facts. But it's like, I was a little kid who loved the Loch Ness Monster stories.
Well, it's
You
real.
know? Well, see, exactly. And
Take
that
it.
was my defense is, you know what? I live in Indiana. I'll probably never see Loch Ness. I will never have personal confirmation one way or another. But it makes me happy to think that there's a plesiosaur swimming around.
Well, I'm the only person to have been to Loch Ness that didn't see it, so it must be true.
What a story, Mark.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's great. So we got Brianna K. Wielder in the chat. Hey, how's everyone doing? We're doing great. Chaps, how are we doing today? Hear what I said? I said chaps. like I'm some kind of Brit or something. That's fun,
Hey,
isn't it?
there's nothing wrong with using proper terminology.
Yeah. And we got Hojo. Hail all. Hail Hojo. It's nice to see you today. And then let me see who else we got. Gary says we've known each other for 20 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we have. It's been a long time. Trashman was founded as a Ravager. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Who else we got going on here? Obviously, we've got coming here. I used to be the storyteller and character developer for Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf Apocalypse for a lot of friends back in the 90s.
Wow.
It's been very helpful for my characters.
All the White Wolf
in my
games
comic.
were very story driven. They were intensely story driven. And
Yes.
they corrupt. That's one of those systems you don't think about, but it gets into your head a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll give you a little secret about myself. When I'm writing a comic, there's like rolls going on in my head. I'm like, oh, could he, let's roll initiative. Like, okay, there's the attack. Could that attack be blocked? Okay, So like the whole fight is going on in my head, kind of like that. And I've gotten to the point to where with Brian Dawson, the guy that does most of my layouts, I'll tell him, I'll just write in there, and he knows that that's kind of how I think now. So he kind of does that too, a little bit of back and forth, and kind of stuff. And so it's great to see that.
You should see Alan Moore's scripts. They tell the artists everything.
Books.
He
They're
even
books.
even describes the door handle and the hinges on the door. Which is why I always say Dave Gibbons did such a great job on Watchmen, because the way he interpreted those scripts was, I don't think anybody else could have produced that comic. It's just wonderful the way he works it. But he's got a book out a few years ago now about Watchmen and how he put it together. He's got all the scans of his layouts and everything. It's a fantastic book, and he also shows some of Alan Moore's actual scripts in there, and you can read him describing each panel, each line. And I think that would drive me crazy. Not that I wouldn't like to work with Alan Moore, but that would drive me crazy, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of direction.
Yeah. I think you
Yeah.
can over-direct, but who
Here's
can
his
argue
eye,
with Watchmen,
because
I
I'm
mean,
a rock. Matt Baker, circa 2002.
I'm not gonna say how big the script is for Lava Korra 6 because, for the 32-page comic, my writer is going insane. And I'm echoing somewhere again.
You sound fine here.
Well,
I don't hear an echo. Yeah.
So how's
Yeah.
aren't you your own writer? Just to verify for the audience, aren't you your own writer?
no, I'm not.
No.
No. I have two writers, Martin Fisher and Kimberly Kovac,
Yeah.
and they do great jobs, but Kimberly is starting to turn into a real European writer with 8 panels of each. It's it's a big
how come
script
you-
for 32 pages.
So how come you don't write, Mike? How come you don't write? You're the artist,
Because I have zero imagination.
Really?
I literally kind of I have complete aphantasia. If I close my eyes, there's nothing there. It's black.
Oh,
So
come on,
I
Mike.
need
You
everything
can't
I
give us
draw
that
is
kind of
from description.
fuel and not expect a couple of ribs come that way. I mean,
You've got to put something in there, sure.
No, don't worry.
You could work with Alan Moore.
No,
well, yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're just one of those people who doesn't mentally visualize; it just comes out.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
I recently found out that if you're dyslexic, you can render things in 3D in your head, and that's what the more detailed you can do that, the more proof it actually. That's one of the dyslexia tests, because I'm dyslexic, dyscalculic. Everything floats around if I don't nail it to the ground, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I've been doing CAD CAM in the back of my head for literally since before there was computer-aided graphics. I'm like, that's what I've been trying to tell you. That's how I think.
I've got a slew of problems, so I can't quite put my finger on why I am the way that I am. So, I mean, Nick's got all these like, I'm dyslexic, so I'm smart, and I'm like, I don't know.
Don't ever think
I don't
that.
know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. Or
I am cross-wired. Smart. I know me too well and I try not to lie as much. I lie as little as I can. I'm married, so there's always going to be a bit. No, I'm kidding. But
oh, we got the Sin Killer here, Marv V.
hi.
He's at his day job listening. Hope we're doing well. I think we are doing well. And here in a second, we're going to go around and everybody's going to tell us really about how we're doing. But we got Hojo back in the chat saying, Glenn, that's where I'm having a tad bit of trouble. I don't want to be a dictator in describing the panel to where the artist can't stretch his legs.
I think
it's hard to find a balance.
I don't understand that, because I think if you're in a collaboration with a writer, I think the way I would do it is it's the so-called Marvel method. You would have a discussion between, talk about the story with the artist and the writer, and then the artist should, then you get A to B to C to D all the way through the alphabet, to the end of the story, and then the artist can put pieces in as long as it doesn't detract from what you agreed in the first place. But then again, having said that, Jack Kirby brought in the Silver Surfer, didn't he?
Yeah.
Stan Lee had nothing to do with that. So if Stan Lee would have been writing those scripts, as full scripts, Kirby would never have brought possibly Marvel, at least one of Marvel's best creations.
Yep.
Which proves a lot of the point about that relationship between those two guys, about who created what. But we won't get into that. But I'm just saying that the artist should be the visualizer. The artist should be. It has to be the visualizer. That's my opinion.
There is personally, there's a clear distinction between art direction and art dictation. My writer will be like, hey, can we do a big splash panel and this and this and this in it? But if I personally pull in my own expertise, I'm going to do the panel completely differently because I disagree. It's I'm at liberty drawing it to do so.
But if the
they disagree, then we can discuss.
Well, if the writer, why does the writer want a splash page? There's got to be a point to it. You can't just have a splash page or a full page panel.
I had an editor.
Storytelling aspect.
I wanted to start out a comic with a splash page to a double splash page, to a 2-page spread, like Kirby used to do. And so I had written the story like that, and an editor was like, "That's stupid. It's nonsense. Don't do it." And they were like, "Adam."
Well, Kirby just didn't do those 2 pages just for the sake of doing 2 pages. He was pushing his story, wasn't he? There's a point. There's got to be a point to it.
Yeah.
So I think that I think the artist brings that.
I had a point, but my editor did not think my point was valid.
Luke, was this a self-published book, or were you working on it with a company?
It was self-published, and I was working with an editor that we both know.
Then you had the wrong editor.
Well, the editor's no longer with me. So there we go. There we go.
There you go.
Yep. They didn't quite
And
see
that's
the
the
vision.
thing, it's very different when it's an editor talking to the writer-creator.
Yep.
Yes.
Those are all heavy suggestions, but at the end of the day, especially if it's an editor you've hired, understanding the hierarchy of all that. They could even be right, but it's still your book.
Yeah.
And I think these are fascinating conversations we need to have, because the background creative processes, people who don't do this sort of thing don't know. They have no idea that it's like the artist goes, "I want to make a comic book," and just starts going. And
Well, my current process is, I'll write down a kind of a prose outline of the arc, and then my editor will go over it and like, oh, there's a hole here, there's a thing here that seems to be missing, and then I'll go in and I'll fix those. She'll go look over it again, and she'll like, okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'll go and I will write kind of Marvel style, page by page, what I want. So I still have a little control over page turners, so to speak. But I don't do panel by panel. I'm like, well, on this page, this is a conversation taking place, and I put most of my dialogue in. And then she looks over that and says, all right, yeah. And then if I created any new questions, she'll be like, you're going to have to answer this later and whatnot, so, which is pretty funny. But then I pass that off to to my layout artist, and he translates that into a killer page,
See, I think that the double page spread, you get a comic book, and the first page is obviously all one panel. It's just a splash page, isn't it? That's your establishing shot. And if you want to continue that establishing and the movement, you can turn over like Kirby did and do a double page and further that. But you wouldn't, well, I don't think there's any rights and wrongs, but I wouldn't put a double page spread of someone, punching someone just for the sake of it in the middle of the story, because that would just be gratuitous in my mind. Because what you've got to keep in mind all the time is the story. Does this move the story on? Is there a point to this?
I think a lot of young creators or new creators, they don't get that everything we do serves a story. Gary says, I'm currently developing my first self-published comic. Hope to have some work to share for the world by 2023. Big fan of everyone. Here's work. First off, thanks for being a fan, Gary. But I'm a fan of Gary. Gary's brother actually inspired me to get off my butt and start making comics. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this story.
No.
But Gary's brother was a guy named Jeremy Dale, a very talented artist. Worked on G.I. Joe, did his own book with IDW called Skyward. Fantastic creator. And he got sick at a con, and it just got worse and worse, and he wound up passing away. I think, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was November of 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And man, that shook me. He was the one in our group that had made it into comics, and so I could live vicariously through the idea that one of us was making comic books. I didn't have to pursue that, and it made me think, life is so short. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait and possibly, miss my opportunity to do what I love, and what I love is comic books. I've always loved comic books since I was 5 years old. I remember as a 14-year-old standing in the comic book shop, reading the newest comic and discovering new things and playing RPGs. Man, I just loved it, and I'm like, I got to get back there. I've got to get back there.
You could write a book about sacrifices. I can remember going. I think I would have been about 12. What's that Fantastic Four cover? Is it 57, Randy, with the Black Bolt with the yellow cover? Is it issue 57 where he's got his hands like when the Inhumans break free? I think it's issue 57. But anyway,
it's in that number.
Well,
yeah.
I was about
close
12, and I was going to school, and we used to have a newspaper shop called Pages, and I used to go in there, and I walked in there in the morning, and that cover was there, and it's bright yellow, and it's got Black Bolt with his hands like that, and one of those typical Kirby covers where all the characters around the main drawing, and it's bright yellow, and it was the first thing I saw when I went. 46.
Is it 46?
Right.
Sorry, I googled it.
No, it's okay. That's fine. And then the
it is. It's a red cover.
It's yellow. Inhumans break free.
Anyway. Oh, then we're looking at the wrong cover then.
Okay, we're
I think it's 50 odd.
Those who would destroy us is the
right. Well, this is called 46. Inhumans break free.
I think this is hilarious.
I'll keep looking.
But anyway, so I went into the shop and I saw this cover, bright yellow, right in my face. and I didn't have any money other than my lunch money.
Oh
so
man.
that day I didn't have any lunch.
Well, it's well worth it.
Done that.
Because I
59.
was- I-
59.
Hey, I was right.
I'll
Get in
briefly
there.
59.
flash
Get
that.
in
Look
there.
at that. Glenn,
59.
Glenn B Fleming for the win.
Yeah.
Man, nice.
Get in there.
Nice memory. Nobody can say that you're slipping it all, man. That's great. Yeah,
Well,
I think we all have that like that first comic book. You know, I remember I would.
Oh yeah.
I really fell in love with Gambit, and there was a Gambit series that was coming out, and I didn't have the money for it because it was the off season from work. I had been working, but when school starts, I couldn't work at the Wendy's down the road as many hours, and so I was like, oh, what can I do? So I started drawing pictures for my friends at school, and Mom, forgive me. And if any of my congregation members are watching, I don't do this anymore, but I learned real quick that the kids paid more money for the nudie pics. You know, so if I could draw the girls without their shirts on, they paid more money for those. And I
Oh, yeah.
I got to.
So of course
I
you
made-
refused.
Yes, I refused.
Yeah, you
No, I-
respectfully
Yeah,
refused.
totally.
I wound up
I-
making some money, man.
I was stopped. The entrepreneur in me crushed at an early age, around the same time, 12, 13. Because I was the only person who seemed to be able to draw anything. I would draw Spider-Man's head and the Hulk and Thor in biro on people's hands, on just here.
Oh,
So
cool.
obviously, so when they washed their hands, it would wash off, and they would pay me. I don't know what the equivalent would be. But it was 1D in old English money, so it's probably, I don't know what it would be. It was nothing, but it was a lot to me because 10 of those D's got me a comic book, a pence, right? A penny.
Pence.
10 of those got me a comic book in those days. So I'd be drawing these things, and I'd be drawing, and people have been having 2 or 3 of these drawings, you know, Spider-Man, Thor, whatever. And then they'd come back the next day and pay me again because they'd washed it off. And I got hauled before the teacher, and I was told to stop because I was exploiting people, which of course I wasn't. They asked me to do it.
Yeah.
They paid me. Everybody was fine.
Yeah.
And
A fool is born every second. You know what
that's
I'm saying?
right. Yeah.
You know, if they want to keep giving their money
Yeah.
for disposable art, let them.
Yeah.
But
why not?
I was told
Yeah.
to stop as well. But not before I had made enough money to not only pay for the entire run of that Gambit miniseries, but also I bought a few other things as well. So yeah,
Well,
I was an entrepreneurial one, and I did draw a
teachers-
lot of Ninja Turtles too. That
Right.
was really popular.
The teacher didn't mind these kids spending that money on cigarettes, but they wouldn't let them spend
Yeah.
it on Spider-Man. So
How
who's
crazy
the bad
is that,
guy
right?
here?
No, you know what? It still
Yeah.
is that way almost.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cigarettes, but people will scoff at comics like, "Oh, don't let their kids read." They're still reading. It's getting them into reading. It's
Yeah,
getting them into
exactly,
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
you can't charge people for your art. We still got people that feel that way, don't we?
How
dare you.
Mr. Brink, who has a fantastic comic coming out right now, that's crowdfunding right now, Perfect 10. And I'll tell you what, that comic is a perfect 10 in my opinion. But he says the Silver Surfer is the coolest superhero ever created, and he was filler because Kirby was like, this needs something here, and so he made up this character on the spot. You know, anybody knows how Kirby drew. Everything seemed to be on the spot. He didn't lay anything out. He started in one corner, started drawing, and by the time he got to the end, he had a perfectly orchestrated page. The man was a genius.
Yes,
And,
he was.
Absolute
What
genius.
spatial sense? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That's the mechanics of that kind of genius. It's not just that they.
It's insane.
It's one of those. The more you think about, the more impressive it gets. Level things, where to be able to not just
Yes.
do that, but to do that consistently. Frame. You could take a Kirby frame and go, "That's a Kirby frame." You can pull any Kirby frame out of any book, put it up, and go, "That's a Kirby frame."
Yeah.
Well, it's pages and pages to where it becomes impulse and just muscle. You know?
Yeah. It's
You
almost
sit
like
there
the only
and
way to
work
get
it out.
better at something is to put in the hours.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing. The other thing that mesmerized me about Kirby is when he went to war, he still had a book come out every month. Because before he left, he drew a catalog of back stuff ready to be released. I mean, who works like that? Who can do that? Like, I know, like, I struggle sometimes to get stuff done in a month, you know, and here he was. I'll just put a whole year's of back catalog ready so that I don't have anything.
I think the only other person who did that was Elvis Presley, wasn't it? When he was going in the army, he went into the studio and recorded 100 songs or something, and they were put out over the 2 years he was in the army on albums and stuff.
I gotta
like
tell you, you know, I've been a musician, I've been a comic artist, and I think recording 100 songs is easier than drawing 24 comics.
Not that it's
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Brianna's wondering why she can't see all of the messages here in the YouTube chat. And Brianna, let me explain that to you. We are broadcasting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different locations this morning. 4 of those are Facebook, 2 of those are YouTube, and 2 of those are Twitter. And of the 2 YouTubes, you might be on the Raging 2 network, or you might be on the Luke Stone Studios channel. So you're going to notice that there's going to be a difference there between those 2. And where you'll notice is when I post up a comment, it'll have a red YouTube block, or some of them have a blue Facebook block. I haven't seen any comments ever come through Twitter. I don't think that's something that's possible there.
That's because Twitter is a cesspool of hate
It is a cesspool of negativity
and darkness. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've never seen. I don't go on Twitter a lot, but I've never actually seen a lot. I must be just looking at either the right stuff or the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, you keep mispronouncing Facebook. Randy, what's your origin that Facebook is pronounced Twitter? I'm sorry, I don't know that language.
Well, obviously, you carry hateful friends on Facebook.
Oh, absolutely, because
but Twitter just encourages
Twitter
Twitter.
for the people that need help.
I think it's all a matter of
40 characters of hate right there.
I think it's all a matter of who you spend time with. I've
Negativity
promptly
control.
blocked all of the negative people on both platforms. So I go in there and it's just like
I haven't
it's
begun.
butterflies and it's like butterflies and rainbows for me.
Hey, yeah,
All right, we got to get caught up here. Some of these comments. Dave says there are some comics that are only splash pages, just as a gimmick. Savage Dragon did it, and there was one issue of Stormwatch that did it.
Didn't Walt Simonson do a Thor book that was all full page spreads? I've never seen it, but
I think so.
I bet that was pretty good.
Oh, we've got the comic black belt here. Good day, all. Hell of a panel, yeah. It is a good panel today, I think. You know, we got some good ones here today. And Frog G's in the chat saying hail all.
Frog's been just laying out everybody's links while we were talking. I like to keep the chat running in the sideline because this is a little more discussion based. I'm not squinting, so I can have the smaller.
I don't know who Frog is, so I don't know whether I should say hi, Frog.
You should. Frog G is he's like a superhero. He is. I think he's everybody's wrench holder in the YouTube channels. Yeah, he's amazing, man.
Well, let me put it this way: on everything I've ever seen you on, Glenn, or referenced, Frog G is linked to what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I know he's there, but I'm just saying I just find it difficult to say hi, Frog.
No.
Hey, yeah, that is a perfectly acceptable thing to do.
I'm pretty sure.
Like Genuine Comics, you can't say hi, Genuine Comics. It's it's like talking to the shop.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, Frog, that's his identity. He's
Frog G is his
his
identity.
Superhero name. He keeps the secret identity safe.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying.
Here's the thing: if I ever learned Frog G's real name, I would probably reject it, much like I've rejected Logan's backstory.
What backstory?
Exactly.
One, if it's Marvel, you can retcon it. Anybody
He
can.
backed left on Korra, so.
Gary says that's correct, yes.
You know, I could dox him. He got left on Korra, but I'm not.
Yeah.
He's still a mutated Wolverine.
Here's the thing. Frog has bought my books too, so I know his real name, and I still reject it. I'm like, no.
Exactly.
I'm like, no. They're not the same people. It's just not. It's not who it is.
This is a Joker Bruce Wayne thing, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It just no.
We got Danny Morales coming from Facebook saying good morning. Good morning, Danny. Danny works at one of my favorite comic book shops in Orlando. They've got a Kickstarter going right now. They do a shop-sponsored kind of anthology with a bunch of mini stories in it a couple times a year. And they've got one going right now. It's called The Collective Initiative #2, and it is on Kickstarter right now. Danny, go ahead and pop your Kickstarter info in the comments so that people can find them. And yeah, check him out. That shop is great. If you're in Orlando for any reason, head on over to COVID Fog, the town that it's in. It's yeah, whatever.
Orlando?
Check it out. The Collective. It's great, and it's a great shop. Check it out. A lot of fun.
I never feel bad about COVID fog. I'm foggy and I didn't have COVID. I'm just special that way. So, don't worry about it.
Hojo says he feels the same as Gary, and that he just sat around for way too long and just found all these wonderful people recently, and he felt cast aside. Well, there is a home here for everyone. This is the island of misfit toys. This is who we are. This is who we are. Dojo-kun is with us today. Hail, Lukeson Studios, Genuine Comics, Frog G, Gary C. Dale, Johnny Cage. Ooh, man, I don't have the breath to do that all in one breath anymore.
If anybody doesn't feel like they're part of something, just orbit this organism, this world. Like, I had no idea. I get a message at like 8 a.m. Hey, Nick, want to co-host a show? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Here's the link. We're doing it.
Yeah, I go. As soon as I go, I get something to drink. I look at my wife and I go, I don't know if I just agreed to co-host a episode or a series, but it's Luke. I don't know anything about the network. And then I'm watching somebody else's show and I see my links show up on somebody else's show. I'm like, oh wow, I am officially part of a network.
Dude, here's the deal. I am a pastor, so I know once I get you to agree, I've got you forever. Sorry guys, I had to.
Okay. That was funny.
Gary Dale says, I feel that, Hojo. I spent years on the old Wizard World forums, then the Pencil Jack forums, with some artists and writers who are huge now. I would have kept going. Who knows where I'd be. Exactly, Gary. That's the thing. Gary's got a real talent. He's very talented. And that's the deal. I want everyone that's watching, the however many people we got watching right now, follow your dreams, man. If you got a passion or desire to do something, especially comic book related, do not hold off on that. Yeah, it's really hard to do it on your own, but let me tell you, you do not need a publisher. Sorry, Randy. But I learned that from you. Because I got books from the 90s that I found in the 90s that have Randy's name on them. And I learned that, man, some of these companies, they self-publish themselves, and they're doing it. And it gave me hope and inspiration that I didn't have to try to get a job at one of the big 2 or the big 3. For me, Image was a big 3, or any of those things, that I could do this on my own. I remember we were talking last night, and I found a comic from Zap Comics, and it was a little anthology floppy that was black and white, and it had a section, a little taste of all their stories in there. And man, I loved that. And yeah, just great stuff. So follow your dreams. Don't let anyone stop you.
Take your opportunities.
Yes.
They're all there.
Doja says, my first comic book ever was the Uncanny X-Men 126. How sharper than a serpent's tooth. Very cool comic. X-Men versus Proteus by Claremont and Byrne. Claremont, man, for me, he's my Stan Lee. I love that guy.
And Dojo, that's the issue in X-Men where the entire continuity at Marvel just goes right off into a weird reality.
It does, yeah.
And if you go back earlier than 126, there's some incredibly awesome material there. But
Yeah,
I always wanted to do a what if the X-Men woke up and they were still fighting Proteus.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
And start over at 127.
We got the Woke Breaker is in the chat. Hail chat. Hail Woke Breaker. good to see you
Hill
today.
Hill.
And then we've got Frog G throwing some
Love.
love with the comments. And then hail.
If you want to see the first American comic book I ever bought, and this is the actual one. I've shown this before, but I'll show you now.
Oh, let me make you big.
Well, when I say I bought it, my brother bought it. And also, that's how well read it is.
Yeah.
The cover comes off. But that's the actual one from
That's-
September 1965.
Oh, gorgeous.
Wow.
I love it, man.
And I've
So,
Can't get
yeah.
better than that.
I remember my first comic book. I have had to rebuy it because I tore it up. My dad brought it home. I was a big fan of He-Man, and so my dad's friend at work heard that I was into He-Man, and he brought some comic books. Said maybe he'll like these, and he was a comic book fan. And in that list was Secret Wars #4, the one where Hulk's, got the big bit of Earth, and Hulk's holding it up, saving all the heroes. And man, I fell in love immediately with the Hulk, immediately with comics, and I laid paper over every page and every panel and tried to draw everything I could. And then I got to where I'd look at it and try to draw it. And then I got to where I could draw it from memory. And then I got to where I was like, okay, well, that's not enough. I need more comics. So I started trying more comics. And then I got into this phase, Glenn, you'll think this is funny. I got into this phase where I was like, well, I need to learn how to draw more realistic muscles, And so I started getting these muscle magazines, looking at these big, strong guys and trying to copy all those. And my dad got a bit worried because I've got all these muscle builder magazines all laid out and pages tore out all over my bedroom. And because he goes, son, and he goes, I'm not trying to judge you or anything, I just want you to know that your mother and I, we're going to love you no matter what. But is there something that you feel like you need to tell us that you can't? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like,
And he's like, well,
Dad, I'm in love with comic books. And he said, no!
yeah, that's what it was. He's like, please, just tell
Get
me
out
you're
of the
good.
house now. Yeah.
Here's another original from 1971.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
This is well read as well because this cover comes off. But look at this.
Oh, yes.
Dude, the New God series is like,
Just leave the cover off and frame the book.
I'm telling you, Glenn, the New God series, it inspired hybrids. It did.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I can't say anything other than Kirby helped inspire what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
We got
I'll
Genuine
never
Comics
forget my appreciation for Kirby went up so much, and when I was reading, I got a hold of a copy of New Gods 4, and when they pull Seagrin out of the harbor, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
I've never seen this character before.
Yeah.
That was it. I was done. I just madly in love with I was digging up all of the Fourth World stuff after that.
Love it. Dave's saying, are we talking about our first comics? Mine was Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man, the Battle of the Century, the Dutch edition. So cool. I got a copy of that, the US edition.
I hope that came out in a large treasury size too, because that's
No,
part of the
they
joy
didn't.
of that comic.
It did.
Oh yeah, it came out in a treasury edition initially here in the States.
And
Just
I've
beautiful.
got one. Unfortunately, the cover is not attached, but it's the only one I could find.
Oh, I've
But
got
a
one
copy
back
of it.
around the corner there, but it'd take me about a half an hour to find it. And then I'd have to dust off the pile that it's on.
Yeah. Frog G is throwing more comments out there. And he goes, tickle the algorithms, smash the like, dingle the bell, and subscribe. I saw this one YouTuber. I didn't really like what he had to say. But down at the bottom he goes, smite thine subscribe. Or smite thine like bell or whatever. I was like, that's kind of funny. But he's kind
You
of
should
a jerk.
always dingle the
So,
bells.
Yes, dingle the bells.
Dingle
Oh.
bells, dingle bells.
My Little Dingling. That's the song. Remember that
Yeah.
song? I used to
Yes.
sing. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yes.
And my mom was like, "You should stop singing that song." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because it's about." I'm like, I was so innocent back then.
We had
and then we've got
a verse,
just
a
got
verse about was banned over
statistical
here.
zero.
It was
Yeah,
a
we've
much
got-
more innocent time.
It was. It really was.
Yeah, but he wasn't innocent, was he?
No, he was not.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was
You
doing.
know,
Statistical
with,
Zero says, good morning, all.
got
Making
Tutti
some morning
Frutti
rounds.
on Rudy
Say
too,
hi.
but we don't have to go there anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't see your messages either, Brianna. So, yeah, so we've got people watching from 2 different YouTube locations. Hojo says, I learned to read with comics. I learned to read big words with comics.
Yes.
You know, and that's one thing folks like Stan Lee should get more credit for that they don't. Being a bit on the verbose side had so many kids having to look up what did he just say. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I learned to read the Queen's English by reading comics, 2000 ADs. I kept looking at that going, why do they spell color with a U?
Because that's the way it's spelled.
Here's the thing. You take that stuff now, like when I was in school, and if I would spell it the way I would see written from some of those things, I got marks taken off for spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I swear, you spell old with an E on the end.
Yeah.
It took me watching Coronation Street to figure out what a boot was.
A boot.
I thought it was something you put on your foot. That it's the trunk of a car.
What do you or if you're Canadian,
When they were
what are
stuffing
you
a
talking
body
about?
into a boot, I'm like, well, that's got to be a little difficult.
What are you talking
Red
about?
Green taught me the Canadian version of
A boot?
And, you know,
What are you talking about? I don't know.
Exactly, a boot.
Dave says he's on Twitter, and he goes, and I'm all love.
yeah, and we appreciate the love. We're all about it.
Speaking of Elvis,
It doesn't apply to everybody, but in general, it's an excuse for trolling.
You know what? I can love folks irrationally, even the people who absolutely hate my guts, because at the worst, it makes them more annoyed. I mean, like, I'm
yeah.
sorry. There's so many people who can hate folks that they don't know for stupid stuff. I can love them. And it's like, that's why I wear Hawaiian shirts everywhere. The world's too dang dark. Sorry, DC. I'm looking at you. Pull the opacity back, all right? Just let us actually see the frame. The Dark Knight makes sense, but when all you see is the shadow and one of Superman's eyes, you know, can we, like, fix that where we can actually watch your stuff? Oh, sorry. Random rant brought to you by Nick Cocker. That rant may not be in.
Exactly.
before we go a little bit further, I do want to stop and I want to mention that if you make books and you ship those books, then you should by all means go over to, let me take that comment off the ding dong. There we
Sorry,
go.
that was an accident.
That's okay. You can save 5% on your next Gemini mailer order by typing in RAGEN2 as a coupon code. Now I know that Nita is working on getting that discount increased, and so hopefully she can make that happen. But in the meantime, swing on over there and buy your comic book shipping supplies from Gemini mailers using RAGEN2 as your code. So make sure to do that. And then also want to make sure that if you're watching this on the Luke Stone Studios YouTube, I appreciate that. But we also have an entire network of things that you can check out. The RAGEN2, the vlog. We got dispatches from Outside the Box on Tuesday nights. We've got the Ego Works art live streams. They happen on Wednesdays at 4. Wednesdays at 9, Zimcast with our good friend Randy Zimmerman.
That weirdo.
I was on that show last night, and we had a blast. For some reason, I just started talking about diarrhea. I don't know why. It just happens.
If we're gonna do that, that's the place, I guess, to do it.
That's the place to do it, right? And so
that's only because that's where we also talk about so-called mainstream comics.
Oh, yep, that's the one. And then right now, you're watching Nerd Bacon at 9 a.m. Eastern on Thursday mornings, every Thursday morning. Rain or shine, come hell or high water, we're doing this show because we all need a little bit of fun sustenance in the morning.
Bacon.
And then Sunday Funnies, the lighter side of comics, the more whimsical side of comics. Sundays 9 a.m. with your host, Randy Zimmerman.
Yep, where we try to keep the diarrhea stories to a bare minimum.
To a minimum, yeah. And then Calderon, JD Calderon does Talking Comics on a Sunday, 7:30 p.m. And so we've got more shows coming.
And that's
to the Raging
all
2
diarrhea
Network.
stories, by the way.
Yeah, we got more shows coming, and we're very excited about that.
That's right. We actually have one day missing on this card. it
Oh,
up
we do?
on Saturdays, 10 a.m. from April 9th, where we're going to do a draw stream with guests.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Yeah, so the Raging 2 Network is growing. It was originally the dream of Nita Lanning, but Meredith Logren. Meredith Logren is a dear friend to us. She passed away recently, and Nita has picked up the torch and is making sure that her vision comes to fruition. And I mean, we just appreciate that so much. So,
And Mike,
yes.
I'm sorry you're not on this Saturday because the wife got a little peeved at me earlier and told me, "You're on the air every day this week, aren't you?" And I said, "Nope, I'm not on Saturday."
yeah, or you would have been. Yeah, or you would have been, right? So let me find out where I was in the comments again. I just had a comment dump, guys.
They're
so-
real.
They're
Yeah.
real.
It's like, cow.
One, will the powers that be, someone who has that lovely card, send it to me so I can share it around to add properly?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I did the phone screenshot thing because
We'll start
technology.
here.
But
Charles Schultz kept his peanut strips up 8 weeks ahead. Unheard of in comic strip circles. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I don't think a lot of the comic strip artists get the credit they really deserve. Because, like, Bill Watterson was really, really influential on me, both when I think about writing humor and just his backgrounds with the birch trees.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, with Watterson, also, all of his strips are evergreen. I mean, you read them now and they're just as poignant as what they were when they were printed. And that is a really rare quality for anybody working in humor or entertainment.
yeah. I didn't have a lot of superhero books, but I had like 4 or 5 of the Bound, Watterson, Attack of the Killer Snow Goons.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've
That's
had
the
some
only
more
way you
people-
can get them here in the States right now. I tried to get the rights to print that strip for Flint Comics, a paper that I did locally here.
Yeah.
I was flat out turned down. This is the only way that you can do that. And the syndicate still had the strip offered. They would only offer the daily strip outside of the United States. Inside the United States, it's only the collections were allowed by Waterston.
Wow. Yeah. So we've had a few more people join the chat. Travis Gibb is in the house. He goes, I find the lack of green concerning.
I find his attention to what we are wearing disconcerting.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
And I say that with,
You don't know what all I'm wearing. I'm not going to stand up. You don't know. Don't presume. I could be in a frilly green tutu. I'm not, but I could be. So, just...
We've got Jake Vister
He
in
is.
the
He
chat.
is.
Sizzle, yes. We got a lot of sizzle and we got a lot of meat.
It's a regular sausage party out here.
I believe Frog has a
Yeah, no, between all of us, you'd actually have a meal.
Yeah.
He's actually 3 people, but let's.
Yeah,
let's not
Anthony
go-
Gonzalez Clark is also here. Question:
He's
would one
actually
charge
3 people too.
differently? Here's a good question. Maybe you guys can answer this for me. This question: would one charge differently for story pages and the cover, or are they the same rate? Talking about all splash pages in a comic book. That's a good question. Because technically, my interior page rate is different than my cover rate. Because
I think everybody's that way
yeah. So I don't know.
because the covers are so much more important, and you have to take a little bit of extra time working out the composition in order for it to be attractive
Exactly.
and to stick in people's heads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Frog G is the straw that stirs the beautiful cocktail.
there you go.
Yeah. And then we've got Pedro Ang coming in here saying good
Pedro.
morning. Good morning,
I
Pedro.
miss you, Pedro. I
It's so
wish I
great,
could hang out with you.
so great to have you here today. And
There are too many people in this area that are way too night oriented for guys who suddenly can't be late night guys. I miss you, my
Yes.
people. Evil
Yeah,
work
yeah, yeah.
burns me, and I can't see my people. I hope Johnny Cage has like one of those lace umbrella parasol things or
Dude,
something.
it's definitely a different audience at this time of day. I'll be honest with you. It's
Different energy too.
Yeah.
I dig it. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about the energy, but
Jake Vister, also background music. Does the budget allow that? Not really, but
Well, you can help by making donations and buying products by Luke Stone. That will help us keep our lovely lo-fi music rolling in the background. You know?
And it's public domain music, which keeps us from getting
absolutely.
copyright struck.
Yeah. Of course, so I use, obviously you guys saw, I use old TV show intros. And they try to copyright strike me for that. And then I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. I don't know how it works. I'm like, no. And they're like,
I really think I figured it out. You run the background music. It never stops.
never stops.
After
You ever notice that? It never stops.
After the and you get the morning ASMR, you hit that back, so technically you're transforming it. It's not the same. That's the same mechanic for how the rappers who would take fragments of other songs and then rap over them and not get sued.
That's part of the reason why I'm like, nope. And they're like, oh, okay. But anyway, it's a lot of fun.
Just who do you think I am? This is Luke Stone. He just pulls out the big sunglasses and goes, excuse me? Do you want to copyright strike a pastor? Do you want to be known for doing that? Is that what you need? You really want to come in an American pastor?
That's a good way to get a hell credit.
Yeah,
That's a good way to get a hell credit.
You see, I'll copyright strike you. My book's bigger.
I don't know if Nita meant to say the God or the good. Both of those, could be really funny comments.
I'm gonna go with good because I don't want to get in trouble with my boss.
Yeah.
But if she was talking about, the God, it would be a capital G. So
right.
Yeah. Let me see. I got a couple.
Yeah, fair.
That's what we're talking about. Kirby, he's the God.
Genuine is saying distribution is one of the toughest parts to organize in publishing. Yeah.
Yep.
Tell us about it. We had a little first-hand experience.
Yes.
Which is why we have the long shots on Indiegogo going right now. 7 publishers, 9 books, one big deal. 9 books for $25. You can follow that link in the comments. So we thought we had a publisher, a distributor to help us publishers out. Turns out it was the Grift of the Century, and the Grift of the Century is going to give you the deal of the century. 9 books, each one 32 interior pages, beautiful covers, bound with 3 staples, and all of that is going to be shipped to you in June. So make sure to get over there and back that while you can. Little
folks,
shameless.
I got in on this. I'm gonna have to tell them your secret. These are handcrafted artisanal staples. Okay, these are only the finest staples selected by trained staple specialists.
It's gorgeous, yeah. That's great.
The comics are nice, but let me tell you, those staples you're gonna remember.
Johnny Cage says, I don't remember my first comic. Probably something with tentacles. I don't know.
I do remember my first comic, and I got to meet the creator. It was the black and white comic version of the old Invaders from Mars movie, and it was just really,
nice.
it was cool. And
Dave believes
at a little tiny con in, south of Lafayette, Indiana, I met the guy who created it. I got to sit and chat with him. It was really cool. So yeah, you never know, guys. He just had a booth at a library. He just happened, and his name's falling out. That's part of my brain damage. I just accept names don't stick. But
just happens, right?
Yeah.
Dave says Dave believes that Johnny Cage's first comic was probably the first appearance of Doc Ock in Spider-Man.
There you go.
We've got the Spore Hacker in the chats today. Good morning, Spore Hacker. My first comics were Asterix.
Here we are.
And Tintin. Muscle Man. Your dad was
now
mortified.
Now we know where you are in sync with what was being discussed.
Yes, Pedro, it was pretty mortifying. You are no son of mine. Yeah, that was a funny day. I mean, that was a really funny day. As Hojo says, first comic I ever bought with my own money was What If, number 37. Wolverine, Lord of All Vampires, during the Inferno. That cover sucked me in. I memorized every panel. Still have it. Yeah, the What If comics are some of my favorites.
You know, I have a question. We all talk about the first comic we got our hands on. What's the first title you tried to follow? Like, what's the first where you went, I want to try to follow this story?
Oh, for me, Spooderman.
Yeah, for like the kind of comics that I grew up with, every single album was a new story. So I had a complete series of Asterix, I had Tuska and Wiske, I had Lucky Luke and all those things, you know. My dad was a huge collector, so everything was in my bedroom, because that makes sense. I was the kid and he was the collector.
Well, that makes sense.
My first one, you know, I just showed you this Strange Tales.
Yes.
Well, back in those days, they used to have an advertisement for the other titles.
Right.
So when my brother brought this home, and I was just enthralled with it, you know, it's fantastic. When I got to this page, because he had the money, I had no money then, I was only 10.
Yeah.
And I said to him, do they have any others like this? Do they have these? And he said, yes. And apart from that one, the Thor, he came home with those.
Oh, cool.
So I guess I sort of followed them all at the same time.
Yeah,
Very
That
nice.
was a real big impact, you know, late
Wow.
65 on me, because it was all mainly Kirby. I mean, this is my introduction to Kirby. He only did the layouts on this. And John Severin, you know, the mad artist, did the artwork, but the layouts, and I remember asking my dad what layouts were, and he was pretty clued up, my dad, and he told me, in his opinion, that somebody would do rough drawings, and then this Severin guy would do the proper artwork, and it turns out he was right. But if you look back at this time, Kirby was doing everything. He was doing covers, he was doing layouts, he was doing about 5 books a week. He was doing everything.
He was a machine.
He was just a genius. He was
There's
just
the
a
backbone of Marvel at the time, artistically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also laid the foundation for superhero dynamics that everybody follows
Yeah.
to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did that 20 years previously, didn't he, in Captain America?
Yeah. Gary says my dad has some really old comics. I was lucky. I read his Avengers #4.
Wow.
He also had a record to play along with it, with the dramatic reading of the comic. It was great, man. If that was my first experience with a comic book, I probably would have freaked out. I mean, that's amazing.
That's Captain America, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
And then Hojo Azomji, I was just about to say that that was my fave Kirby cover of all time. It tells you everything you need to know about the King. Absolutely, the King Kirby. And then Dave says, yes, it was a large size book, the one he got. So his Man of Steel versus Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it looks, he goes, and it took me a while before I realized Superman and Spider-Man did not belong in the same universe.
Yeah.
Which is what was so cool about it, because it was the first proper crossover, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
The first intercompany crossover.
Yeah. Do you ever think we'll ever see one of those again?
No.
Probably not.
Yes. No, I'm going to say I think we will, and it's not a good thing, because I think what will happen is eventually one of the big companies, whatever Disney grows into, will try to monopolize, because we're down to only 2 or 3 independent studios. So we'll see crossovers when acquisitions happen.
The Spore Hacker.
I could.
You're not going to
Yes.
see Disney pick up DC. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I can never understand these crossover things. I don't necessarily agree with them, because I can't understand how you can have somebody like Spider-Man would fight somebody like Superman, because Superman would just break his back. Superman's invincible.
Yeah.
Spider-Man isn't. That's just
The next one they did after that was Hulk and
yeah.
the next one they did after that was Hulk and Batman.
Jeez.
No,
That's
I know
even
it's
more
all-
absurd.
Yeah, I know it's all about money and everything, but that's the shame of it, I think.
Yeah, Batman and Spider-Man actually should have been together, because that would have made more sense.
Yeah,
And then
that's
Hulk
right,
and
yeah.
Superman
Yeah.
would have made more sense. You know?
Well, the Hulk and Superman was a neat exchange.
Well, I think it was the characters that were most popular at the time for both franchise for both companies.
I'm okay with those kind of crossovers that are single event. Like you have 2 companies doing something, and it's very special, because that's really more for the fans. At least it's not canon. It's just something cool. What gets me is when you have the crossovers where you have to buy 5 issues of 5 different comics just to follow the story, because that really isn't about the story anymore, at least not in modern renditions. There were earlier ones where, wow, Spider-Man showing up with the X-Men because he's trying to figure out where his powers came from and something's gone wrong. Is he a mutant? Okay, that makes a sense. But when it's like you have these 5 different things, you have to go all the way around. Just do it as a mini series, crank it out so that the fans can follow. Doing it that way is just greed. It's marketing, and I don't like it.
And yet before that, when I was a kid, they had the Avengers versus Defenders war, and that was amazing. I mean, as a kid, I was hitting that drugstore constantly looking for the next issues because they were interspaced to come out every other week.
Right. And
had to find out who was going to beat who.
And I think that might highlight the difference, because I was poor. I was a poor kid, and my parents were very tight with money. The first comic I could afford to buy myself was both the runs of they did a rerun of Sonic the Hedgehog because it was fun and I could read it to my brothers without getting in trouble, and because I had to have that. See, it's okay, it's nothing scary. And then under Sonic was Gen 13 and later Danger Girl. And believe it or not, I got less flack for Danger Girl when I explained it's just James Bond.
Yeah.
But, and I followed those two. That's why J. Scott Campbell was so influential, because by the time I could afford it, the only way to get Kirby stuff was inexpensive compilations, and the internet hadn't opened up where you can get a hold of stuff. So there was this gap of affordable comic media, and I think it's really good to keep that in mind. The kids who can't throw the big bucks, $5 and $6 now an issue. I mean.
That's the same with the cinema now. The last film I went to see at the cinema was Watchmen. When was that? 2008?
Yeah.
And there's 2 reasons for that. One is that I refuse, I mean, this is just me being an old, I just refuse to sit for 2 hours when people are just grazing and munching and slurping drinks and going out every 2 minutes to bring back a hot dog and whatever. Can you not just sit there for 2 hours, turn your phone off, shut up, don't eat, and watch the bloody film that you paid for to see? But the other thing was that they actually knocked down my cinema. I've got to drive 10 miles now to pay 12 quid to listen to Dickhead on his phone eating his burger. So I don't go.
It shocks me that, arcades are basically dead. There are a few left. They're scattered more, and they're usually attached to like go-kart. They're almost mini amusement parks. It's not like it was where there'd be a little space between stores. They'd throw some pinball machines, a couple video games. You could go blow a couple bucks and quarters half the time. They're almost dead because of personal gaming. I'm amazed they prop up the theater industry when it's really. It's just. I would go to a theater now, but if they were showing like the old black and white horror movies, and you knew, like the public domain kind of movies where it's deliberately an experience at its low cost, that would get me. But they want $24 to see a movie when I could buy it and watch it for eternity. You know?
That's right.
Well, when you got to pay $5 a gallon for gas to get there, it makes it a little harder.
Yeah.
The Spore Hacker says that he learned how to speak or how to read Spanish with comics. So comics, they do serve a valuable.
Well, and there are some quality educational comics.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a librarian. I'm involved with my wife's a librarian. My brother-in-law's my brother, her brother-in-law, is a librarian. There's some comics help bring stuff, elevate kids to that next level where they can read and still be. They need to be appreciated as an important stepping stone. And yes, we all like to sit there. It's all a very comfortable stone to sit on, But we also have moved on and read other things, and we write, and we're all better for it because we spent time in the place that was comics.
Yeah.
Now, we got Jody McPhee from the desk of Small Press Publisher in the chats this morning. And he says, can we get at least one "You Shall Not Publish" from the Gandalf of Comics? I believe he's talking about you, Randy.
The answer is
And you shall not
The answer
publish.
is no.
Yes.
You shall not publish.
There you go.
Oh, there too.
Hey, there you go.
Yes.
You got
we
what you
grant
asked
your
for.
wishes here on Nerd Bacon.
I should have, if I had been more mobile, I could have run upstairs and gotten my walking stick and had pounded that onto the ground when I said it too.
Yeah,
I'm
that
about
would have
3
been.
strides from mine, but the
Frog
swords
G
are
says this
closer.
is his late night.
Hey, we appreciate it, Frog. Well, see, that works best. We get you. I get you in your sleep best.
We get public domain music. Question is, where do you get public domain music? And we actually get it as part of the StreamYard's kind of built-in background music.
It's a new whistle that they added just who knows when, but it was there when I woke up. So
Yeah, I had not seen it before, and then I woke up, and then it was there, and I was like,
could be an alternate reality. We're not sure yet, but
Yeah, we're not
it's
sure.
there. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Randy and I both went to sleep in one reality and woke up in the same alternate reality. So that might tell me that I don't know. I've got theories.
Don't
It took
try
me a while to
convince
get
me I'm
grounded,
an
but I'm here
illusion
now.
before noon.
I-
I've taken too many philosophy courses. Please don't try to convince me I'm an illusion before.
We're not saying you're an illusion. It's just an alternate reality.
We got JD.
There is a world out there where I'm married to Haley Atwell. I am sure of it.
Dream, if you're gonna dream big.
There you go. Yes.
And he's not as happy as you.
No. Well,
Turns out Haley's
he
high
actually-
maintenance.
Actually, he is. That's a whole other story.
Man, that's like having a Jaguar. It's worth the expense. Anyway, okay.
Yeah. So JD apparently doesn't know anything about hell
She didn't
credits.
seem to be high maintenance at all. Anyway.
Yeah, apparently JD doesn't know anything. Jody doesn't know anything about hell credits. That's not credit. It's you rack up your hell credits, and that's, I'm joking. They don't exist, but it's funny as all get out to talk about.
That's from a secret book. That
If they
fell
do-
under
if they
the
do-
people at the Council of Nicene was just kicked into the heater. Don't worry about it.
If they do pile up, I think I'm in trouble. So let's hope they don't exist.
Oh,
Right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thanks.
I think I'm
Thank
going to
God
be
for
there
grace.
with just about everybody I know.
Thanks, GC. Take a good look at that campaign.
A lot of good books in there.
Oh,
There's a little bit of a
yeah.
story there. And all of the books are described. There's such a wide range of titles, and all of those properties aren't going away. It's just that the deal never happened, and we're left with a bunch of number ones. So.
Yeah. And number 2s, 3s, 4s. In some cases, I'm drawing number 9 right now. So I mean, the books are coming. You're getting all these books, these great books.
Yeah, HeroBot 2 is done almost halfway through 3 when I
Yeah.
went under. So yeah.
And it's happening. Yeah. HeroBot Zero is one of my favorite titles. It takes me back to the love of comics when I was a kid. It's got all that feel to it. It's great. Yeah.
It's not enough good, fun, funny books around. So that's what I wanted to do.
Nick loves promoting that RPG that he wrote
Yeah.
for hybrids, and we got a full manual coming out later this year.
Yes. I am so excited because people keep giving me the subtle, how's Luke doing? No, he looks good, but is he doing? What are you asking about? Is your book actually going to go? Because you said,
Yes.
I'm like, yes, it's coming.
Yes, it's happening. It's happening. Remind them I've got 6 months of work to catch up on when I had to take my nap because somebody had to get sick. Raging 2 says every one of these jokers got my copyright claims this week. Yep, probably. Because then Daphne and I got flagged for being too sexy for TV. I can believe it.
I cannot blame them. I understand Google. I understand YouTube right now. You guys are too sexy.
That's right.
Well, I admit I have a little bit of "you got to be kidding me" because in the '90s I was kind of doing a lot of art for Afro folks, and I hung out with a lot of them.
Yep.
You know, it's me. I end up in places. So I've been seeing Daphne's art since like peak high school. When you go from the hero worship to actually understanding what you're really looking at, and having a better grasp on what it takes. And it's like, oh yeah, you're on the same network as her. I'm like, holy cow.
Here's a really good question. Does anyone have advice on what to charge for a cover? Would like to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
Depends who's doing it.
What the artist asks.
Yep.
And then pay them 10% more because they're worth it.
Well, I don't know about that. That would be nice. It'd be nice if they could. But so I pay roughly $200 a cover for a guy named Nito Diaz, who's very good. I've paid up to $300 a cover for one done by Kane White. I'm right now trying to commission John Malin, one of my favorite artists, to do a cover. And my only question to him was...
Good one.
My only question to him was this. Are you available? I don't have a deadline. That's fast. I need it in a few months. Months, not weeks. I need it in months. And those were my only questions. Because I dare not ask the cost. Whatever the cost, homeboy here is going to pay it. Because it's good. I know what I'm going to get. I ask, are you available? And can you get it to me by, reasonably like June or July? And that's what I ask. Now, when I do a cover, I charge $100 to $150 to do a cover. But I'm not John Malin or Kane White or...
Prices will always vary.
Yeah, J. Scott Campbell charges $20,000 a cover, I think.
I believe you're
Yeah,
right.
And makes
something
it all
like
day.
that.
Makes it all day
You're
long.
correct, sir.
Yeah, but it's J. Scott Campbell too. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, if I had an extra 20G laying around, I'd hire him to draw a cover.
So on the
Essentially, I
next
just
tier
pay.
of the raising money for Luke, would you like to donate $20,000 so that he can get his dream of J. Scott Campbell to do a cover for the Hybrids Omnibus?
Yeah, I mean, I could just see I could see a real sexy Chlorine or Ion being done by J. Scott Campbell.
Oh, I'm trying not to because I want to think. Hold on. 404.
We just watched Turning Red last night, and there's this part in there where she's, if you don't know by now,
Did
she
that
turns
describe your face while you were watching the movie?
Yeah, well, if you don't know by now, she turns into a giant red panda. So spoiler alert.
Well,
But,
the giant red panda is actually a metaphor for something else.
Yes.
Never.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it whatever. It was entertaining. Entertaining. But there's this scene where she runs around a corner and she sees this boy that she likes, and she did that. They threw back to that old cartoon with the wolf. She stops her foot and goes, "Auga!"
Oh my god!
Oh,
All right, I might have to watch that now.
I was like, "That's funny, dude." It was a hilarious movie. It was a
It's a
hilarious
tribute
movie.
back to Tex Avery that you don't see very often.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I
it was
think we
great.
need to. The Tex Avery stuff,
Tex Avery was genius, man.
Yeah, and we're starting to lose it culturally, and I think that's really sad. It's just like outside of esteemed panels like this one, I've kind of ninjaed my way in on. A lot of people are losing track of people like Jack Kirby, which is a tragedy. It's why Glenn's book is so important because it's bringing back.
We need to talk about Glenn's book.
Conversation.
Yeah.
Chat, I want to say, keep posting stuff. I'm going to try to pick out things that are really important to bring up, but we've got to talk about Glenn's book.
Yeah, it's on Indiegogo right now. It's got lots of photographs of me with Jack in it. And the book tells the story of how I got there. I went to his house twice and interviewed him. And I didn't really interview him. I just spoke with him. I let him talk. You know, it's full of photographs. The DVD is the second trip I went to his house. I filmed it, and there's 3/4 of an hour of just he and I in the studio talking about everything. Not mainly about, not exactly about comics, but just his life. There's also when this was first released in 2017. It was seen in a local theatre to an invited audience, and there's a Q&A on the DVD as well, and there's other stuff on it as well. But in the book, I've got all my handwritten notes from the visits. You've got everything in there, and you've got this is the Q&A. We filmed that, and it's all on there. It's a really good insight into Jack Kirby, because I'm not interviewing him as such, because you can see things like that on YouTube where he's at conventions and things, but this is in his house where I had lunch with him and his wife, and it's a really good insight as to who he was, other than a comic book artist, because he was I would describe him as a real person. He was down to earth, he was generous, he was funny, and it's a really good. I'm really pleased with it. It's on Indiegogo right now. And you get both the book and the DVD. There's just one tier, and that's the book, and the DVD. So please check it out if you can, and if you can, purchase it.
Let me play your video.
Yeah, sure. Please do.
The original intention of the film was just for my personal use, but I thought, with it being such a unique thing, that I'd like to offer it to anybody who wants to see it. On the first visit, Jack took us into his another room, a separate room, and there were these brown parcels full of artwork piled up, and he said to me, "You draw like I do." We were in the studio for 5 hours, it was fantastic, and there's this. He's got this desk, and everything he's ever drawn has come from this desk. And then I would just go with the flow, and that's what this film is about. It's just a unique film of him.
He says, "I beat you." He says, "They say we came in under the dead heat." He says, "That's not true, because I beat you." And the American said, "Well," he says, "if you like to think so," he says, "but I know the real story." He says, I know I clearly won that one." Well, Joe is 6'3", and I was a run, from the Lower East Side. And being Joe's partner was an advantage to me, because Joe was believable, they would talk to Joe, and the Goodman brothers would get to know him. Martin Goodman owned Marvel at that time. He went to his mother and he says, "Look, Jackie got a job drawing." He says, "They're paying him for it, they're paying him money for drawing." He says, "Suppose I go with Jackie." He says, and he said, "They'll pay me money." He says, "I'll draw and they'll pay me money." He said, "I'll give the money to you," which we did. We gave it all to our mothers. They called me from Nassau. I lived in Long Island. And they say, "Would you like to come down and draw these guys in training?" I swear, this is not a story. And I said, "Yes, of course, I'd love to come down."
I am absolutely thrilled that you have put that together for everyone to experience.
There's my work on his desk.
That had to be surreal. It had to be surreal. So right now you are sitting at 21 backers.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
It's got a bit slack over these past few days, but it's well past its goal. But I'd like a few more, obviously. So check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you're a Kirby fan, and if you're not a Kirby fan, you'll learn a lot about him. because as Nick said, he seems to be forgotten these days, and that's got to be a tragedy, I think.
Yeah. I cannot believe that you don't have more backers on this. But
Yeah.
We'll fix that. So here's what we got going here. Man, look at that young Glenn.
Yeah, he's
My
good looking,
goodness.
isn't he?
He got hair.
So how old were you in this picture, Glenn?
I was 33.
33. How old was Jack?
71.
How old are you now?
67.
So a few more years, you'll be as old as Jack was in this picture.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, just wow, just cool, man.
Yeah.
So it is 30 pounds or $40 US to get this book, and you're looking at shipping them in May, right?
Yes. The postage is quite expensive, but that's not my fault. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
do
not your
anything about
fault. But it's worth it. So you're shipping to the European Union, United Kingdom, United States of America, and Australia.
that. I'll send it anyway. Those are just the ones I listed. But it's a hardback book. It's full colour, 124 pages, and you get a DVD with it as well. 2-hour DVD, so
Yeah.
a lot of stuff on there.
That is the table
That's
that
the
Jack
table,
drew
yeah.
everything from.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just about, yeah.
So cool, man. Yeah, I think you've talked about this project well, and here, guys. I mean, if you're a fan of comic books, if you have ever read a comic book, you know who you've heard the name Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is they call him Jack the King Kirby for a reason. Some people joke that he's the man that created Stan Lee, and
Yeah. What do they say? Many a true word spoken in jest.
yes, exactly. And this guy, I'm telling you, this book, it's just I'm looking forward to it. The DVD, for that amount of money, there's no reason why you shouldn't get a hold of this thing.
Let me tell you. Just let me interrupt you there, Luke, and tell you a little story. Just look. If you look at the photograph on the left where he's talking to me, if you look behind him on the shelf, you can see two pieces of artwork. One's in a black frame, the top one. That is a cartoon I drew for Jack and Roz, and you see it on the bottom left there. You've gone past it now. To the left. Go. No, the other way. Keep going. Other way. Keep going. Up. No, all right, down then. Down.
I can't go any further down.
Right, there.
Okay.
There's two pieces of artwork, right? The bottom
Oh,
one
on
is
the
this.
table.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, okay.
No,
I
on
was
the
looking for
window,
a frame.
on the window ledge.
Oh, on the window
Right.
ledge. Okay.
Yeah.
He could
There.
sit on it.
There it is.
There.
Down
Well,
here.
See
Okay.
the top piece in the black.
Yes.
Right. Well, that if you scroll over now to the other picture, that's a drawing I did for Jack and Ross. And when I went back 3 years later, there it is next to Jack's head, in between us.
Oh, cool. Right here.
And I often wonder whether Jack remembered I was going, or whether Roz remembered. And I get the impression it was Roz who would remember that, not him. But that's my cartoon on his award, shelf or mantelpiece.
I've heard so many stories that Jack's house was open. So
Yeah.
some people might not know, like everyone's worried about doxing themselves in today's culture. Well, I dox myself all the time. Like my address is published,
Right.
and I tell people, Florida's a stand your ground state. If you want to come cause trouble, you'll find trouble, but you won't be met with trouble right away. I'm like, if you're coming here to hang out, I'll make you some coffee. We'll hang out, we'll draw a little bit, we'll talk a little bit, because that I hear those stories, and that's what Jack was.
Yeah.
People could just go by his house, and Raj was making him a sandwich, getting him something to drink.
That's right. Well, in the book, I describe or I explain how I got to his house, and then I went again. Obviously, 3 years later.
Well, don't give us any spoilers.
No, the first time I went, we had lunch with him. We sat down for lunch. It wasn't just a sandwich. It was a proper lunch.
Wow.
The second time I went, we just had Roz just gave us pizza, but it was just a fantastic experience. It's just wonderful.
Well, yeah, don't give us any spoilers. Buy the book, guys.
Buy
I'm
the
serious. Get on there and buy this book. It is, it's well worth the money, even the money to get it shipped to you. Make sure you get a copy of this book.
And I'll sign them all and all that kind of thing,
I'm
so it
looking
will
forward
be
to that.
as
Now, Rick
complete as it
Bradley
can
says,
be.
for some reason, my card and Indiegogo did not get along, but I contacted him, and he is getting the book and DVD to me. Pretty excited.
Yep.
So if you're having trouble with Indiegogo, they can just contact you, and you'll make sure they get the book?
Yeah, they can contact me on comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com.
Comics Unlimited
Magazine.
@gmail.com.
Yeah, it's a magazine I publish about comics, obviously, and you can get those on Amazon.
Yeah, and
That's a
Rick says,
good thing to
who
plug
edited
while
Glenn's
you're
book
here
again?
too. I didn't know about that. That's awesome.
I'm guessing Rick edited your book, huh?
No, he didn't know it. Actually, it's Brian Morris. And every time,
Brian K. Morris.
Yeah, every time
Give
he
him a minute,
mentions
he'll
it,
be here.
Brian finally joined us this morning.
Yeah, he never mentions the book, but he just mentions that he edited it. Here we go.
Yeah, he's like,
Brian,
I edited the book.
Brian, did you edit one of my books, Brian? Did you?
That man is the patron saint of plugging. I swear.
So,
Yes.
did you have to pay him?
That's nothing to do with you.
Yes. I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more.
Oh,
Yes, I paid him. Yeah, I paid him.
That's spicy.
But
Luke's going.
But he will tell you that I got it at a cut rate.
Good. I'm just teasing. You don't have to tell me.
And Randy wrote me the foreword to it as well, so we're all here.
Yeah.
I'm not a smart man.
I apologize. I'm not a smart man. Some might.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
You
right?
get what you pay for, and I got a great edit, and I got a great forward. I'm not so sure about the rest.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, you got some great personalities putting their thumbprint on the project. I mean, come on, guys, grab that link, go out there, and make sure you're back in this book. You've got 14 days left, right?
Yep, you got that. There it is. Look, if you want the proof.
Here, let's make you big again.
Yeah, edited by Brian K. Morris.
You really have to enlarge that.
there we are.
We have.
Randy's intro was easy. The rest of the book, well.
There's Randy. Nice picture of Randy. Nice picture of Randy. Here's
I'm
what you
glad
should have done.
went through and corrected all my spelling errors, Brian. I really am.
I noticed that.
Appreciate it.
I noticed that Brian's name is small print. Is there any way that on the cover that you could, instead of it being by Glenn B Fleming, that it could be edited by Brian K. Morris?
You know what?
Written by...
I could, but I'm not going to do that.
What you need to do is get some masking tape. And just mask for Brian's personal copy, masking tape edited by Brian K. Morris. Letters like this big, right across the diagonal, make it obvious. Because you know what, if he got that, the first thing he'd be doing is talking.
That actually has just given me an idea for a story.
Awesome.
Great.
Oh boy.
I did that
with this guy in it.
Awesome.
Oh, I love it.
Oh man, I love those boards.
Dude, that's great work,
so
man.
Cool.
Glenn, you are a
all
talented
hand lettering.
man.
All hand lettering.
Yeah, nothing
Glenn,
like drawing on illustration board. Nothing like
Glenn, you are a talented man.
There you go, see?
Wow.
That's awesome, man. Glenn, you're a talented man, and we
I'm
know
just-
about talented people
I'm just
because we got
thinking
Randy
this today.
Zimmerman. We know about talent because we got Zim and Mike and Nick in the panel, and all kinds of talented people
And
watching.
that guy.
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you, Luke. And can I just say
Yeah.
as a last thing, if you watch this DVD, you will see my talent for keeping quiet.
Wow.
That is just
Oh
Is that
boy.
sarcasm?
and I just let Jack talk.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. One more time because it's a new clip and I like it, and I downloaded it just in in honor of our guest, Glenn B Fleming.
Well, I really like shortbread.
Is he doing a Jimmy Stewart thing now? I really like shortbread.
No, I think that's just who he is, man. He's a zany guy. He is a zany guy.
I know more than you.
All right.
Yeah, man. We like to have fun around here. We like to have fun around
this
here.
whole show. Everybody just be entertaining, then shut up, Nick, because you've got professionals with you.
I did. Glenn's new story will be about promoting an editor who was brutally murdered. I can't wait to see it. And if anybody,
I didn't know you're writing true crime.
And here's the thing. And copyright claim. Yep, copyright claim. You're welcome. Sorry about that. But I think the thing is, I love the Region 2 network, but there's also another network out there that I think you should check out as well, and that is the Rising Tide Network. Brian K. Morris is how I met Nick, and Nick and I have a great partnership with taking the universe of hybrids and turning it into a functioning game for all of you fans out there. The 14-year-old Luke was... I would sit in the comic book store on a Wednesday. I would read the new books, and then I would, save up enough money to buy new dice and stuff like that, knowing that night I was going to hang out with my buddy's house. And we were going to play RPGs. It was always this undying desire of mine to have a comic book universe that had a role-playing game as part of it, and it just something I really wanted to do. And Brian K. Morris, a wonderful guy, helped me get in contact with Nick, and now that dream is becoming a reality.
Yeah.
30 years after the fact, I'm finally able to say, look, we've got a game going along with.
Did you guys ever play that Traveller game?
Yes, yeah. I played Traveller.
That's the only role playing I've ever done at Traveller. But we didn't get dressed up and stuff like that, but we just used to have a good time doing that.
Anita also thinks Brian is awesome, and I do think Brian is awesome.
Well, it's amazing. You surround yourself with really cool people, and cool things happen. It's just that simple,
Yes.
Everybody, if you look at the people here, everybody's building each other up. Everybody's making things better, and there's always a hint of service. Service to the story, service to the community, service to history in Glenn's part, a lot of giving back. I'm honored, and I know I joke around a lot, but there's no humor in this. I am genuinely honored to be a part of this panel. I'm honored to be a part of what's going on, and to be able to help Luke take his comic. That's a lot of trust. It takes a lot of trust to say, can you make this and make it functional? And I caught, from a lot of people I've since removed from my life, a lot of flack while Luke was sleeping. Because, why are you waiting on this? You don't even know. I'm like, I believe if you pray for rain, you carry an umbrella. I said, Luke's going to get better. Why? Because I refuse to accept the reality where he doesn't. And, before this went down, we were almost done with it. This is 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost. It's shocking how much. We started this when the pandemic hit and everyone else was in despair. We were like, how can we do something that isn't? Yeah. And that's the spirit of almost... resurrection is a heavy word, but
I think I've said this to Randy on his show last week or sometime, that there's good in everything. And COVID has put me here with you guys, because I got into this as that a couple of weeks or a month or so after that hit. I was spending more time not looking for this kind of thing, but noticing this kind of thing, And I've been on Randy's show a lot. I've spoken to Mike a lot, and it's great. I love it. I just love it, and it's just. So what I'm saying is, there's good in everything, COVID has devastated, as Luke knows, it's devastated a lot, but there's always good in it. You can always find the good, So I'm not grateful or thankful for COVID, but it's worked for me. It's brought me to you guys. So
absolutely. You just had Joe Bachman on. I don't normally actually plug my stuff. Just this week, Joe Bachman set up a dice roller and a rules app for my tactics game, Big Stompy Robots.
Fun game.
So that just got released this week.
Ooh.
Because
Sweet,
he was doing construction apps to help people who work in his field. And I'm like, this is all random number generation. This is all, you could do some cool stuff with this. Yeah. So I'm really really honored, because I know him personally, to be partnered with him to do apps. And I hope he keeps making RPG apps, because eventually I want to talk to him about doing some other character generation apps.
Very cool.
Hit ton of bricks.
Yeah.
But
nice.
Yeah. So we are. I got to tell you, man, we've gone for quite a while. We've gone for an hour and 40 this morning, and I've got a meeting with.
That's brilliant.
Nice.
Sorry,
I'm sorry, you guys saw me sitting
the
here.
The resemblance is uncanny. It's
crazy. My hand's like, you need to be drawing. You're sitting in front of a computer listening to these things. I usually listen to this kind of content and draw. So
I actually have a meeting. I actually have a meeting with an animator in about 20 minutes to talk about doing some animation intro for the Hybrid universe. So pretty excited about that.
Next to me, when I finally deliver all these Kirby things, my character Hatch, I'm working on his second book, and that's part of it that you just saw. And I'm gonna teach myself that Blender animation thing. Have you seen that Blender?
Yes.
I started it up last year, but I've not touched it for a year now, so I'll have forgotten everything. And I want Hatch to be an animated series. So, but I'm the kind of person that I want to do it. I don't want to pay somebody to do it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
I like to do the whole thing. But that's what I'm going to work on, is the animation part of it, because I've always seen him as an animated feature. And in all my work in art, all my life, animation is the only field that I've not worked in. That's all I ever wanted to work in. I wanted to be an animator, and I ended up going to graphics and comics and illustration and all that stuff. And I've done a couple of animated pieces, but I wouldn't call myself an animator. And it's the one thing I wanted to do.
I made a massive mistake. I sent out a tweet with the hashtag animation on it, and I was overwhelmed with people commenting and messaging me. I've got 30 messages that I can't even get to. I'm like, okay, enough's enough. I can't respond to all these. It's impossible for me to go through all of them. But someone that I am friends with already in the community is an animator, and said, hey, this is what I do for a living. And I'm like, well, let's talk. I'd much rather give money to somebody that I know personally than someone that I don't know.
Yes.
So, that's kind of, I like to keep my money close to my circle. But Nita said, COVID helped me find all of you guys. COVID gave me 2 years with Mayor, and who will forever be one of the most impactful people in her life. And that is absolutely amazing. That COVID, as much as COVID did do negative in the world, it also did a lot of positive, because with COVID I was able to put more time into comics, and that's how I met most of you guys, was because there was freedom to do these things, because everyone was working from home now, and I wasn't doing office hours anymore, and all my office hours were from home, and so I mean it just opened things up, and who we are today, where we're sitting at today, is in large part to this worldwide pandemic. We aren't all in the same boat, but we're in the same storm, and we realized that. And then Randy and I both getting sick, and and coming near death, coming through this thing, it's a kind of a unique aspect to it. But it's just even out of that, I'm trying to find the positive stuff that's coming out of that, and I think that I think I found some of it, and that's the thing. So here's what I want to do. I want to go around, and I'm going to put you up big on the screen, and when you see your face pop up, I want you to tell the viewers that we still got where you're at, how they can find you. We're going to go around and do that before we close out this stream today. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Thanks, Luke.
Sounds good.
That's me. I'm Glenn Fleming. You can find me on Amazon. You can find me on Facebook, sometimes on Twitter, but don't worry about that. But mainly, if you want to contact me, message me on Facebook, or you could email me at comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com, and you can find all my work and books on Amazon. And don't forget to look at this on Indiegogo, the book and the DVD. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Hey everyone, I am Mike Jimmy de Bruin of Fairies and Ents. You can find everything you want regarding me on linktree/Fairies and Ents. Fairies with AE, Ents with E. Life on Korra 5 just closed on Indiegogo. We are currently in demand, waiting for plushies to arrive. So if you want one of those and want an awesome comic series with it, go to Indiegogo and look up Life on Korra. You will not be disappointed.
Hey everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman, longtime alternative and independent comics creator, publisher, and everything. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter, but not very often, as Randy Zim. There is Arrow Comics 4.0 over on Facebook, an entire link tree of connections, Instagram and Twitter as well. Plus, you'll see me again, hopefully, Sunday morning for the Sunday Funnies, where we'll be talking about the lighter and more whimsical side of comics. Our guest this week is going to be Tim Tyson, who works for Silverline Comics. We'll be talking comics and independent comics and the stuff that makes us smile. Other than that, I'll be back on Tuesday nights helping to co-host Dispatches from Outside the Box by C. Michael Lanning, also with our co-host Stone Abdullah. And then Wednesday nights, I do the Zimcast at 9 p.m., also on the Raging 2 network, where we talk about comic and popular media news. And lots of opinions, crazy rants, and an occasional story about diarrhea.
Yep.
Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. I am normally found on Friday nights at 8 to roughly 9 p.m., where I talk swords and shenanigans and the books I wrote. And they're going to be upside down because, of course, they are. The Simple Sword and the Fighting Axe, the simplest, easiest ways to learn how to sword fight. I can be found on Twitter at mtockert because that's where I like to do my public stuff. My art can be found at nickdeviantart.com/Nick T. Sorry, they rearranged the site on me. A new website is coming that will be housing everything. And I have 2 YouTube channels, the Historical Fencing Guild and the Nick Tockert Art channel, where I do stop motion, and that will be getting a resurrection very soon. So, folks, I'll see you there, and I'll see you right here next Thursday at 9 a.m. for Nerd Bacon.
Yes. I've been your host, Luke Stone. You can find all of the pertinent links to me at lukestonestudios.com. That's lukestonestudios.com, where you can find my Twitter and all those other fun little things there. I do want to encourage everyone out there to try to leave the woodpile a bit higher than you found it. We get to be the positive in the world. You can't choose how somebody else is going to respond, but you can choose how you respond. And let their negativity be met with positivity. Build something. Build more than you tear down. That's my motto. Always build more than you tear down. We live in a world of deconstruction. It's time we construct a few things. Don't you think?
Yep.
So it's been a great. I want to thank all of you guys for stopping by. Make sure to check out.
And on our way out the door, we want to invite everybody to run over to Indiegogo and take a look at that Long Shots campaign. Long Shots, please.
Yeah. Let me pop up a couple of those things real quick. The last minute.
Oops.
Spider-Man.
That's all of us plugging each other.
Go check out the Long Shots. Make sure you check out Glenn B Fleming. Go over to Gemini mailers and use the Raging 2 code, and hopefully we get some work done and make that a little bit better. And by all means, check out all these other wonderful shows and programming right here on YouTube through the Raging 2 network. You definitely want to check those things out. You're going to find a lot of cool friends and a lot of cool conversation through this whole thing. A lot of very talented people. So make sure you're checking that out. And just want to thanks everybody for being here today. It's been a great show. Especially thanks to Glenn B Fleming for showing up today.
Thanks, Luke.
And yeah, just giving just a great conversation today. It's so nice to have a panel that knows what they're talking about with comics. And I think that the viewers today have enjoyed that as well from the comments. And thank you to all the Baconeers out there who've been commenting and adding to the conversation. You are as much a part of this panel as the ones on screen. We thank you and we appreciate you.
Shout out to the folks who, because of the technical errors, we may not see your comments. But understand, we'll find out about it later, and you guys are a huge part of it. It's things are coming that'll rattle it a little narrower to keep that from being as much of a problem. But you guys are amazing. This is one of the best chats out there in streaming. It really is.
It's a fun morning show. I look forward to waking up early just to do this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so thank you guys for being who you are. I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Nerd Bacon. This was issue. I'm a comic guy. Issue number 4.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Full of our own issues. Next week, join us for issue number 5 when we tackle Why I Still Wet to Bed.
I thought issue number 5 was going to be some kind of crazy crossover. Anyway,
no, that's 6. That's 6.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we're going to do the today was kind of a crossover, actually.
Absolutely.
With Zim from Zimcast coming in today. Zim, you have an open invitation to pop in any Thursday morning. You can get your bones up, and I should probably rephrase that.
Well, same goes for you.
Whenever you can get out of bed.
Whenever you can get out of bed, also you're welcome on Zimcast or Sunday Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Man,
just keep away from those muscle magazines.
Those muscle magazines.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. My job is to be the guy who doesn't judge on this channel.
Emotional damage.
It is what it is, right? So, and when it comes to comics, here's what I think.
I'm gonna go out and buy some more.
Okay.
And I think you should too.
Buy those comics and have a great day. God bless you guys. Leave the woodpile higher than you found it.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.